Hello everybody, and this week I've been having a little bit of a tinker around with Shadow Warrior on PS4. So can I please get an intro now? So, Shadow Warrior, the 2013 reboot of the 1997 game made by 3D Realms. As far as the original goes, I've never played it myself, but from what I understand, it's basically an FPS game in a very similar vein to Duke Nukem. I think it's made with the same engine that Duke Nukem was, with a similar tongue-in-cheek sense of humour, similar ultra-violence, especially for the time, but with a lot less blatantly sexual references and set in Japan. So I heard the original was pretty good, and I saw this game in a convention a few years ago, and I played it for about 10 minutes, and from what I played, I really enjoyed it. I didn't realise at all this game came out when it did. It completely slipped under my radar, and it wasn't until I saw it in a pre-owned shop for £15 that I thought to myself, okay, let's see what I'm missing, even though the game is very cheap for how long it's been out. And what did I think overall? The game is good. It's not great, but it's good. I can safely say, though, this game looks bloody marvellous on PS4, running at a smooth 60 frames per second from start to end, and with this really cool art style of over-exaggerated cartooniness mixed in with more realistic rendering. It looks really cool. The detail as well is oozing in terms of the light and the water, and all of these polished visuals bring the vibrant Japanese settings all to life perfectly. Also, the gore is bloody glorious, just as much as that pun. And there was a lot of detail thrown into here with loads of missable jokes. For instance, specific graffiti written on the walls, and even a chance to catch little bunny rabbits getting it on right in front of you. But then the game does like to have fun with you on this kind of front, because if the temptation to cut up these cute little bunnies having sex is just far too much for you to handle, there's a small chance that when you do attack a rabbit, it'll turn into a flaming demon rabbit, which will be incredibly difficult to take down. And then once you do take it down, you'll be laughing your ass off with how sick you were being and how you were punished for being sick. And, of course, you'll be stressed because they are bloody hard to take down. It does have fun with you, and I love that. It also sounds pretty good. The sound effects are satisfying and snappy, and the soundtrack is alright. It's very oriental and different for an FPS, but in some instances it's a little bit too drab and a bit droning and boring for some scenes. The voice acting is, as well, completely hilarious. It's camp and it's cheesy, and especially from the main character, Lo, who spouts out some of the most cringe-inducing, jokey puns and cheesy lines aplenty. And especially with the masked demon that you merge yourself with, Hoji, my god, he completely takes the spotlight. Every time he is on screen, he completely steals the show. His voice actor did a fantastic job, and he clearly had far too much fun reading all of his amazingly bad lines. Unfortunately, even though Hoji's voice actor has a complete blast from beginning to end in this entire game, the story he's thrown into is a little messy. It's decent, but a little bit fragmented. The story involves a guy called Lo, an assassin for a very powerful company that's sent off into a specific place to purchase a katana from a very, very big collector. The collector refuses this offer on this ancient katana, and so that forces Lo to basically kill all of his bodyguards and eventually get to him and kill him to take the sword himself, which Lo completely fails at and then gets thrown in a cage. Out of nowhere, demons kill absolutely everybody, and so you escape and head towards a burning building, your only way out. And in your last breath, you don't really make it through the building, and so you end up forming an alliance with Hoji, this other demon, who basically exchanges your life for his service. So Hoji does save you, yes, but now you're in debt to him, and then this is when the game tells you about these 3 mystical swords that form together to make a special sword that can kill all of the demons and basically save the world, hooray. All things considered, this plot isn't actually too bad, and it does get much better as it goes on, especially when you find out more about the backstory of the demons and the history of them, where they came from and how they threaten everything around you. But it does have its problems. It is very fragmented. The story throws in new characters and new revelations every couple of minutes, and it gets a little bit overwhelming in places, especially for a story that doesn't need it. And it's made worse and more noticeable by the abundance of cutscenes in the game. Now, I love long cutscenes. You guys should know this. I'm a Metal Gear Solid fan, but the difference here is that Metal Gear Solid spreads itself out over loads of games, and Shadow Warrior just tries to do everything in one. It tries to make it complicated and make a massively deep lore and then solve it all by the end. And yes, it does get a little bit tiring and exhausting and confusing and a little bit I don't give a shit after a while. And because of the large amount of cutscenes as well as the length of them to try and justify the big stakes here at work, it just got a little bit too boring for me and I ended up skipping a lot of cutscenes. But now, in terms of gameplay, I won't lie, this game is extremely fun. It's arcadey, ultra-violent, utterly ridiculous, and extremely satisfying, as well as fast-paced, and it feels more like Doom than Duke Nukem with katanas. Not only is the combat very quick and responsive, but even the little things that all gamers take for granted nowadays, such as the vibration on the controller every time your sword connects a hit or shooting a gun, gives the combat the icy edge that it needs. But for as nice as the basis of the game works, it does plague itself sometimes with some questionable design choices, much like the plot. I mean, it controls fluently and everything, and I can't comment on other versions, but on PS4 at least, not only can you not reassign or change any potentially awkward button layouts at all, but some of the commands are designed deliberately to overlap, and that does kind of confuse you a bit. For example, to cast chi spells or use special chi attacks, you either do one of two things. Swipe up on the DualShock 4 touchpad and hold the attack button, my preferred method, it works perfectly well, or double tap a direction on the left stick while holding an attack button. The problems here are very clear, since in all of the intense gunfights the game throws you into, you'll find yourself accidentally activating these powers all the time because you're jerking the analog stick around trying to dodge everything. And while hectically maneuvering about, you'll also be holding the attack button to save your ass, so the more you move and attack in this game, the much higher chance you'll have of actually activating these slow powers accidentally in the middle of an intense firefight. This became even more problematic when I looked through all of the control options and noticed there was no way of turning one of these input methods off. If I could just turn the analog stick ones off, I'd be fine with the touchpad, but no, it doesn't work. Also, the same button command that allows you to pick up items is the same one they use for reloading weapons, so in the middle of a very hectic fight, you'll find yourself trying to pick up a health kit, maybe missing it because they're quite small, and then pointlessly cleaning your katana or pointlessly reloading your gun if you didn't need to do that. And that can take seconds of your time and allow you to slip down the hill of the battle you're currently in. But hey, the devs tried to work around this by including this little mechanic. If you open a cabinet and see there's a health pack in there, but you won't see it is until you get close enough, what happens when you get close enough to see what it is? You pick it up automatically. And since health packs restore 50 HP, if you open a cabinet hoping to find some ammo in there and you're just looking around for the ammo and you can't tell what it is because it's in a cabinet, as soon as you look at that health pack, you could potentially waste a lifesaver if you've got 90 HP left and no ammo. Again, there's no way to change this or alter it in any way, and for whatever reason, this automatic picking up command, it only actually applies to cabinets. I don't know why. It's also worth saying that even though the enemies are tough cookies and are hard to take down and take a lot of health from you, some of their attack patterns never change. They just all charge at you guns a-blazing, and to be fair, the game persuades you to go in guns a-blazing equally from the start of the game. That's the kind of game that it is, and because everyone's so dumb in this game, mowing them down makes it so much more fun to do. But the fact of the matter is that the careful strategy to the combat doesn't exist at all. There's no cover mechanic whatsoever. There's barely any cover in any of the arenas, and that's a pretty good thing. I mean, it doesn't make the game worse in any way, but it's just, it'll be nice to have that option because, like I said with all the other control issues I mentioned earlier, sometimes you wish that you could just hide behind something while trying to get your bearings. And even though you're running around and gunning everything down with no cover, and it makes you feel like an utter badass from the second you start, it does get a little bit repetitive, especially as it gets a little bit more difficult with the waves of enemies. It's also pretty odd how, in order to upgrade yourself, you need to get some karma bonuses, and you get karma bonuses within fights by performing special actions like decapitations with your katana or headshots with your gun. But it's actually extremely imbalanced, since if you use your katana for this method, for this task, you get it done much faster and at much higher quality than using any firearm. You amass so many bonus karma points by using the katana tactic because of all the special chi powers that your sword has, and that just gives you rakes worth of bonuses. So if you're trying to deliberately level yourself up for any reason, you'll almost never use guns whatsoever to upgrade yourself. But what is very cool? The game doesn't skimp out on upgrading whatsoever. Yes, for something a lot more positive, the leveling up in this game is insane. It's surprisingly large and surprisingly deep and feels like it belongs more in an RPG title. And instead of just tiny little stat increases, you get so much more bang for your buck with the amount of things that you can upgrade here. It's not a unique leveling system, mind you, but it is still very deep and detailed, and I welcome that in a fun, arcadey, balls-to-the-walls, arcadey balls shooter. balls like this. Level design is also pretty good and more Doom-like than Duke Nukem-like, and the secrets are unbelievably well hidden. I mean, just for example, the first chapter of the game, the easiest chapter of the game, I scoured the entire level, top to bottom, all over the place, and then when I beat it, I found out I only found 2 out of 8 secrets. And these secrets are not just random Easter eggs or extra ammo or health or whatever. These are actually all upgrade points, which are, as I mentioned, incredibly useful. So you feel extremely rewarded for exploring everything and feel so cool for finding a hidden spot, and it's great. What isn't so great though is that the game does try to be atmospheric sometimes, which is then completely ruined by the fact that there are some slight pauses with the loading times. The game does like to load for a few seconds at a time, especially when you're entering a door or when an ambush is about to happen. So, tries to draw you in to surprise you, and it doesn't really work. So whenever the game tries to keep you engaged and tries to keep you on your toes, you pretty much know exactly what's going to happen because you had a few seconds of loading with that dreaded logo spinning in the bottom corner. And if that doesn't happen, well, some of the big battles like to take place in large open plains, so if you walk into some area like that, you know exactly what's going to be coming, so the atmosphere does kind of suck itself out a little bit. But hey, there are lots of cool ideas here, like the very deep leveling up system, and the fact that there are some special items and special weapons that can only affect specific enemies and need to be used strategically and sparingly, and of course the awesomely hidden secrets that allow you to explore the lovely environments that the devs created, because they really are lovely. But after saying all of this, after tinkering around with Shadow Warrior on PS4, I would have to give the game an acceptable, and I would consider going into a commendable if you have the PC version, where I'm sure you can change the controls. There's a lot of gory and slick fun to be had with this shooter, and it does have a lot of cool ideas that are executed very well for the most part, but it does have its share of shortcomings. And because of these things, I can actually see why I never noticed it was released in the first place. But yeah, it is a good game, just don't expect a masterpiece with this one, and I would recommend the PC version over the PS4 version, if more for the fact, well, I assume anyway, that you can freely adjust the controls. Farewell everybody, and until next time, take care.
Greetings and salutations, my beautiful people. Thanks so much for watching this video. You're amazing, and because you got this far, I can offer you a little treat for today, which is a very, very special thing. It involves a discount on a website, but it's a cool website. Don't click off now. It's an awesome website, and it's full of amazing stuff that you'll see in a second, and it's with this site known as the Pixel Empire. And the Pixel Empire are a fucking awesome site, an amazing site, full of high-quality, glossy wall prints of all your favorite movies, favorite TV shows, and favorite games. They're all original designs by an awesome guy called Dylan, and it's an awesome shop to go through. There are so many awesome designs on there, and what's great is that because I'm partnered with him, he's offered me a little treat for you guys, which is if you go onto the website, order anything, and use the coupon code CADDY in big caps, you get 15% off any order. It's a great deal because some of these are just mind-bogglingly beautiful. Have a look in the description right now in the top line. I'm sure you guys will love it, and anything that you do on that site is supporting my channel, so it's another way you can show your support if you'd like to. So thanks for listening, and thanks for checking this out. Oh my god, you're still here? You must really, really like watching things until the very end. You're my favorite kind of people. Thank you. Sorry about my voice. I'm I'm very ill. Jeez. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that stuff, because if you don't interact with my channel, even if you're already subscribed, nobody will know that I upload, because YouTube will not tell you that I've uploaded if you don't interact, so that's very important that you do that. And go in the description for my Games Grabber collection so you can see what's on my shelves. So if it's your birthday today or watching this video, happy friggin' birthday to you, and please remember to stay beautiful.